Welcome to the roller coaster of midlife. I'm your host, Lucy Q. Now, I'm sure you can relate to this one, but have you ever found yourself scrambling to get things done or feeling like there just isn't enough time in the day? Or maybe you've been looking for that elusive magic bullet that'll help you get organized for once and for all. Joining me today is Amy Tokos, who isn't your average productivity guru. She has a dynamite combo of expertise in engineering, lean manufacturing, and motherhood. Amy has been featured everywhere from NBC Today to the New York Times. Amy is a certified professional organizer and productivity consultant. Her secret sauce is her custom tailored solutions that actually stick. Welcome, Amy.
Thank you, Lucy. What a lovely introduction. I need you to be my PR person.
No problem. No problem. Anytime. Before we hit record, I was sharing with you that we have, a few more things in common because I too am experienced in lean manufacturing, which is, comes down to the Six Sigma, which is all about doing things as properly as we can. It's eliminating defects.
Right.
So how did you sort of take the leap from that world into the world of professional organizing and being a productivity coach?
So that's such a good question because if you understand lean, it's a lot of streamlining processes, making the process high quality and minimum waste, and saving time and simplifying. It's really about simplifying. And when I started having my children, I realized I was applying lean to my house because I had to streamline processes for survival. I ended up having 4 little children. So it was a matter of survival for me. I had to keep things that were important to me handy, and things that weren't, I had to move it out of the way because I was short on time, was short on attention. Like I just had to make sure everything was a well-oiled machine. And so that's what I realized, that my friends were asking me to help them do the same thing. And when I was ready to go back to work, I realized there's a whole industry of people doing this. And this was back in 2008. So this was early 2000s. And people were doing this as a profession and getting paid. And I was like, oh my gosh, I can like go work for other people and do this. So that's how I transitioned to starting my business in this type of concept and helping people in their homes. And then now I'm really focusing on helping people not only when I keynote, but also small businesses. That's really where I'm at now, as tying into those, getting these small businesses owners who are wearing all the hats, trying to figure out how to be efficient and productive and not overwhelmed.
That's funny because my story is a little bit opposite, the other end to yours, where I was sort of more naturally organized at home. And my favorite gadget was the label maker. much much to my husband's chagrin, I labeled everything. Everything was sort of organized. But my outlet for it was we'd sold our home, and the realtor was just blown away with basically how the house was staged. So I sort of translated mine into home staging for a short period of time. And then when I went back into the workforce, that's when I got into Six Sigma and lean. But it's funny, I have carried those. I didn't realize it until you said it. I have carried those principles forward in, everything that I do here. There's spreadsheets and there's checklists, and everything's done a certain way to save as much time as I can because it's just me.
Yeah. Right. And the checklist and things like that, you hit on such a good point. That creates a rhythm that's reliable. So you're not keeping things in your head. You have like it written out of, this is the next step, and this is how you do it, and this is how you get this done. So good for you. It is interesting you came from a different direction.
Yeah, but I mean, let's face it, in midlife, keeping things in your head is a really bad idea.
Yes.
Because we do get those little brain farts where you just have no clue. All of a sudden, I've done it in podcasts where you're talking and then all of a sudden you're like, I have no clue what we're talking about. So it is a good idea to get things down on paper, and it also helps alleviate that running through that checklist at 2 o'clock in the morning, laying there awake. Getting it out and getting it on paper for me is always been a good thing. But I mean, for me, it came naturally, and I know for a lot of people, it just doesn't. And one of the things that I'm hearing a lot of from women in midlife is that their lives seem to be a bit chaotic in the sense that they're helping kids move out. They're dealing with their kids moving on, and they leave their stuff behind. Just because they go, their stuff doesn't always stay. And then they could also be potentially dealing with helping their parents downsize. So then there's a surplus of things on that area, and it can be quite stressful standing in the middle of it, just figuring out, what the heck do I do with this?
You hit the nail on the head with that, because right now we're in this stage of chaos, like upheaval, I would say, because there's a lot of moving parts. People are going back and forth. I'm just thinking of college kids or young adults or even high school. Like when they're in high school, they're off in their car and you're thinking about stuff like that. And there's just this whole, um, there's a lot of things you don't have control over. And so it just feels like my youngest is in the military now. And I just recently cleared my calendar because he was here to visit. Well, come to find out, it got shifted. And so I had to clear my calendar again. And I'm just like, all right, so I am at your mercy. But having some flexibility and having space to embrace that. And I think that's what organization gives you, is that space so that you have some flexibility. So your schedule is not cram packed. Your house isn't cram packed. Your mind isn't cram packed. You have some semblance because of the things that you can't control. When those come in, it doesn't feel as yucky, I guess.
And I used to, when my kids were younger, I used to have that giant calendar on the fridge, and everything was mapped out, every appointment, every school event, even down to what was for dinner each night, and everything was color coded. I knew everything that was going on. But as the kids got older and I didn't have to plan as much, I stopped in a lot of ways. And then I sort of noticed, well, then I kind of get lost in what I'm supposed to be doing. You forget. And I can't remember who said it, but it has to do with running your business. And it's basically, if you don't schedule it, it doesn't get done. And that's
Right.
true.
So true. You mentioned when the kids were little, we used to have family meetings every Sunday night. And it was around the dinner table, and my family never even knew we were having them. It was me running the meeting, and it was asking, so what's going on this week? Who's got big projects? Any tests this week? Games. Do we have games this week? And then it was my husband. Are you traveling this week? What's going on with work with you? And so it was just kind of a gathering of information that whole dinner. And I intentionally did it Sunday night because that's when everybody was home sitting together. And so we had this whole the gathering of all of the information. And then I would say, all right, what do we want for dinner tonight or this week? Any ideas? And so it was me just gathering and getting all the information so I could strategize the week. And I felt better, and also helping them strategize the week. So it's like, oh, hey, I have a big presentation on Thursday. Just FYI, I'm out of pocket. So you're going to have to get car rides home from school, or you're going to have to arrange your ride, whatever it was. Well, when my kids got off to college, I all of a sudden realized I had stopped doing that. I had stopped figuring out how to strategize the week. So my husband and I were sitting there, and one Sunday night, I was like, all right, I'm going to start doing this again, because he and I need to strategize our week because we're going in different directions. But then we're also coming together at some times and we have to figure out, okay, what do we want for dinner this week? When are we traveling? So it's helped keep us grounded again and keep strategizing the week and getting things on the calendar and making sure we're scheduling, so that's been super helpful as we've aged. And we've gotten more time, because when you have more time, you have time to procrastinate.
And I just want to put it out here on the table. I think the worst possible question to answer in all of this is, what's for dinner? Don't you hate that question?
I so much. I so dislike coming up with a meal plan. I'm like, tell me what you want and we can make it happen. But
Yeah.
get so tired of thinking of what we're
Or
gonna
then
eat.
you plan it and then what's for dinner? This. Well, I don't want that.
Oh, so
Well,
I don't get that. My kids know better. My whole family knows better.
no, I'm talking about my husband. I'm like, well, what do you want? I don't know. Well, I don't even want to count how many meals as mothers we've had to plan over the
Oh, yeah.
lifespan of.
Don't even want to think about it.
And it's just the one thing that I still don't think. I don't care. Pinterest, I've pinned so many recipes.
I know. I would
It's
be
never
depressed
stopped.
if I knew that number. I'd probably be kind of depressed.
Yeah, let's not do the math on
Yeah,
that.
we're not doing it.
Do you have any, like, for women that are caught in that flux between emptying nest and aging parents, do you have any methodologies that they can implement to try and calm the anxiety and the stress around just dealing with stuff and the changes that are going on?
Yeah, so I have this real acronym, and it kind of gives you a little bit of checkpoints to make sure that you're going through and asking the right questions. And because a lot of times we're making bad assumptions, and one of the examples is the R stands for realistic. And it's about, are you being realistic about the time that you think something's going to take? A lot of times we're overestimating or we're underestimating how much time something takes. I'll give you a perfect example is many years ago, I don't like to empty the dishwasher. I'm just going to put that out there. And when I have 4 kids, every morning the dishwasher was clean. And so it would sit there all day until everybody was home from school. Dishes would pile up all day because I do not like to empty the dishwasher. And so I just avoided it. Well, the kids went off to school and I'm like, all right, who's emptying the dishwasher now? It's me. So dishes, it kept happening. It would sit there all day and I'd be cooking dinner and then I'd be like, all right, now I need to empty the dishwasher while I'm cooking dinner so that we can keep this whole thing moving. And so I had made it this really big thing in my head. And one day I was like, all right, how long does it take me to empty the dishwasher? And a full dishwasher took me 3 minutes to empty it. Okay. So knowing that, the next time when the dishwasher was clean, I was like, it's only 3 minutes. I have time to empty the dishwasher. So it was having that real time as a perspective shift. So things you don't like, a lot of times we overestimate how long it takes, but things that we enjoy to do will underestimate. So say we are, social media. A lot of us get on social media and we're like, I'm just going to be on here for a few minutes and check in. And then here we
45
are.
minutes later.
I know, exactly.
Like,
Exactly. And then we even underestimate how much time we actually spend on social media. And so that's a perfect example of time it and have a real number so that you know how much time you're really spending doing that.
that makes sense. That makes sense. So that was the R.
That's the R. Yes. Then the E is doing a real soul search of what's essential and start removing the things that are essential. There's this book, Essentialism, that I adore. And I'll give you the primary concept. So you don't have to go read it, but it is a good book if you want to dig in a little deeper. But consider your energy that you have as this one ball of energy. And if you have 12 things you're focused on, you only have small amount of energy for each of those 12 things. So if you start eliminating some things, then you have more energy to give to what you want to give to. And so that's what's essential. Now, sometimes we can't define what's essential. So sometimes we have parents we need to care for. And so we're going to have to give up other essential things so that we have the right amount of energy to care for our parents, care for our children, and care for ourselves. So that could be your 3 essential things. And then everything else needs to kind of be put aside until you have more energy to give. But we're at an age now, which I actually love this age, because we're better at setting boundaries and we're
Yes.
better at saying no than what we were in our 30s and 20s, where we're like, yes, I'll do that. So now it's like, oh no.
It's it reminds me of the multitasking myth,
Yeah. Oh yeah.
which is moms, we had to be really good at multitasking because you really don't have a choice. You have to be cooking dinner while making sure that your 3-year-old's not taking the magic markers to the wall. That's what we have to
Right.
do. But you're right. Now that we're at a point in our lives where we can set different boundaries and make different choices, it is a little bit easier in that sense. Some people consider it being selfish. I don't care.
You know what? So I know some people do consider it being selfish, but it's not selfish, it's self-care. And that
Yes.
and maintaining your mental health is just as important, and your physical health, and all that stress can affect all of that, and then you're not well.
And I find it really easy just being able to say, no, I'm just not going to do that anymore, and not stand in judgment for myself,
Yes.
and not be frustrated. It just is. This is just the way it is, and I'm good with it.
And you can always change your mind. That's what I always tell people. Like, you can say, I'm not doing that right now, or I'm not going to do that yet. And then it opens the door for a change in the future. So it doesn't mean that your decision is permanent. Like, I am never going to volunteer again because I don't have time right now. It's more of a, okay, I need to step back. And right now I'm not doing that, but maybe in a year or two I'll revisit, and things could look different and I might have time to give.
Definitely. So we've hit the R, we've hit the E. What's our A?
The A is being authentic. And I will tell you, middle-aged women are the best at being authentic, because we are now at the point where, I could use some choice words, but I'm not going to. We just don't care.
Oh yeah, we call that zero fucks.
Yeah, yes. There you go.
I'll say it.
That's what, okay, thank you. But we are at the point where we can be our authentic selves. I was in a lot of people's homes over the years, helping them get organized. And I will tell you, young moms, and I remember being a young mom, we wanted our spaces to look good. We wanted our spaces to be almost perfect, and our kids to be clean and look perfect. Like, there was this whole, like, I'm being judged, so I need to make this all look good. And then at this age, it's like, all right, I don't care. I'm going to be myself and I'm going to do what I love. And one of the things, a light bulb moment for me, was I used to write articles for a magazine when I lived up in Omaha, Nebraska. And one of the things they requested that I submit photos whenever I wrote these organizing magazines. And I wrote about a new closet I had, because we had remodeled a bathroom and I'm like, well, by all means, we're getting a new closet because that is my thing. So got a new closet and I wrote this article about it and I sent in a picture and the editor's like, Amy, your picture is just horrible. So she's like, I'm going to come out and take a picture. I was like, okay, come take a picture. And I left, I was off doing things and I got the magazine back like the next month or two. I can't remember how far out. I was like, oh my gosh, that closet is amazing. And I was like, look at that photo. And I was like, oh my gosh, that is our closet. And I'm like, all right, why does that not look like my closet? So I was like, where's all the stuff that was in my closet? So what the editor had done is she had staged my closet for a magazine photo, which to her credit, she's selling magazines and so she cleaned my closet for me. She cleared off the top shelf. She moved my husband's shoes to the side. She cleared off all the shelves. All the clothes were evenly spaced and even color coded, like grouped together by color. It looked amazing. But the thing that switched for me was like, oh my gosh, this is what everybody's comparing themselves to. And so when they're getting that new closet, they think it needs to look like this, and it's not real. It's not authentic to how they live. And so they're creating this stress about having that perfect space instead of being authentic.
Yeah, and I think there's a little bit of, give and take in everything, because I do have my certain things. I like things to be a certain way. I learned on TikTok how to roll my towels, like the hotel roll towel.
Yeah.
I don't fold my towels anymore. Why? Well, my husband thinks it's really cool. He's like, it's so cool. I just go in there. It's like I'm at a hotel. But I just like opening my cupboard and just seeing my towels like that. But sure, I have that basket one shelf down, which is just all sorts of miscellaneous shit that I don't even know why we have it in there, but it's there. But I just look at my nice towels. That's it's having that give and take.
Well, and not judging yourself if you don't roll the towels. So somebody else, so the towels are important to you and you love the way that makes you feel. And I would say someone coming to visit you, not to compare themselves to you if they can't find the time to roll the towels because that's not an essential thing for them.
Yeah.
And so a lot of times we compare ourselves to others, and that's where we come into that shame and not feeling good about ourselves because Lucy rolls her towels. I should be rolling my towels, and I'm not going to roll my towels. By all means, I'm folding them and throwing them in a closet because that's not important to me. But that's the joy that comes with middle age is I can say that you have fun rolling your
We
towels.
have these quirks. Or the other thing that I have is that I have to have a clean kitchen before I go to bed. Occasionally, I'll leave it, some elements of it, but I cannot stand getting up in the morning, going downstairs to make my tea and looking at mess. And one of the tricks that I use to get myself to do things when I don't want to is I think of future Lucy and how happy she's going to be that I did this for her. So whether it's
I
making my
love
bed
it.
in the morning, because I never used to make my bed, I never had time. But whether it's making my bed in the morning, I know that future Lucy likes to get into nice, crisp feeling sheets. And I know future Lucy likes to come down in the morning and see a clean kitchen.
I'm the same way. Like there are little things that help me maintain my sanity and a clean kitchen with my coffee made so that sleepy Amy, I don't call her future Amy, but I call her sleepy Amy can walk up and push the button. It's magical.
Yeah. And that's it. It's part of it. I think part of it comes from a little bit of rebellion from the chores we were assigned as kids. I used to hate getting
Oh,
assigned to clean the kitchen, but now
and
it's just become one of those things. And it's like, no, I'm not rebelling against it. I'm doing it for myself.
it's interesting to me, and I don't know how you are at your house, but when my husband travels occasionally, and when he travels, I let dishes sit in the sink. I almost take a 24-hour vacation from all chores. I'm like, I don't care. But then there's a point about 24 hours in, I'm like, all right, I gotta get back going because this is gonna make me crazy. I just have to get back in my routine. But so sometimes it's good to have an accountability partner to help you stay on track. That's what I
Definitely.
think of him as.
Definitely. So we've hit the R, we've hit the E, we've hit the A. What is our L?
The L is livable. And this is a lot of the lean concept of making sure that you're minimizing steps when you're setting up processes. So you're making it easy to maintain. An example I give of that is in the Midwest, a lot of people have two-story floors. So I'm in Kansas City and we have a main level and then an upstairs. And right now, when children are leaving, we all of a sudden have open bedrooms. And so we're like, oh, I'm going to create an office upstairs in one of the bedrooms, and that's where I'm going to keep all this paperwork. And then, so they do it. It's beautiful. It's a great space. And then the mail comes in, and the mail lands in the kitchen again. And then they start creating this cycle of feeling bad because they've created this space, but the paper is not making it upstairs, or it does make it up, but it makes it up once a week after it's been piling up and driving everyone crazy in the kitchen. So what happens is we've created too many steps to actually get the paper up to the upstairs. So embracing your natural tendencies and harnessing that as much as possible. Now, I want to put an asterisk to that because Lucy, you're pretty organized. So you might be okay with getting the mail upstairs every day, but somebody who struggles with organization and they create that space, they're just going to start beating themselves up why am I so unorganized? Why can't I do that? So if you have that struggle, you have to make it really simple and you have to minimize the steps.
And if your mail is typically in the kitchen and that's where you deal with it, well, that's where you deal with it.
That's where you deal with
Have
it.
like a
Let's
little
embrace it.
bucket or whatever that have your recycling bin there, your shredder in there, and just yeah, you're right. It's be sensible. Be
Right.
sensible.
Yeah. And there are strategies, no matter what the space is, to help you keep that organized and keep it simple. And then, yeah, you don't have to make it hard on yourself.
And it doesn't, and I think, what was that show that came out on Netflix? It was the woman's name. She was like,
Marie Kondo.
yeah.
Yes.
And I think that created a lot of anxiety for women because they really felt they had to live up to this expectation. And okay, that's all well and good for some people, but it's like you said,
Right.
this is real life.
Right.
And
Exactly.
and
And
we have to be okay with things not being okay, especially in that transition period.
yeah.
Because, you know, when my youngest son moved back home, we redid the basement to be his space. Now one half of that space he wants to make into something else. So there's a bit of chaos going on because you're dealing with the stuff that was there and the stuff that's coming in, and you just have to be okay.
Right. You have to be okay.
Like really, at the end of it, the world's not going to end because there's a mess.
Right.
It's all good. Like we're
It
people.
is all good. Yes.
But tell me, were you raised by a stay-at-home mom?
No, no.
Okay.
My mom was a working mom, and my mom was very much a minimalist. And
Okay.
so, um, which I appreciate. She was a balanced minimalist, I'll say that, because she did have some stuff, but she wasn't attached to stuff. So there was a healthy amount of relationship with stuff because and I hope that's what I have too. I hope my children say I have a balance, a healthy balance, because I'm a bit of a minimalist. I still have some stuff, but I don't have this attachment to things. Like I recognize that the people are more important than the space I live in and the stuff in the space. Like it's the people. Um, and I hope I pass that on to my children. What I've seen with families is a lot of times if you have a dynamic of somebody who has a house that's chaos and lots of stuff, then the children either are just like that. It tends to be extremes. They're either similar to that or they want nothing. Okay, so they find their spot, but it's more extreme. And if you're a minimalist, sometimes the children either are similar to that or they want all the stuff because their stuff was thrown away all the time. So they like cling to stuff. So you got to find that balance of letting them have a little bit of control growing up so that they can make decisions as adults about their stuff.
That makes a lot of sense. Now, as we wrap up today, Amy, do you have any final words of wisdom?
Oh, just embrace yourself. Don't follow the life script. That is what I tell so many people. Don't let other people define who you are and what you have and where you live. Go out on a limb and do something that is something you wanted to do for a long time. We just moved out of suburban Omaha into downtown Kansas City, and talk about not following life script. All my friends are like, what are you doing? But we're having the time of our lives. So we're having a good time and it's a great adventure.
Ah, yes, that societal checklist that everyone's told that they have to follow. And I'm still trying to figure out who wrote it.
Right. Same.
Now, to connect with Amy, make sure you check out the show notes. I will have all of her links in there. And my goal at the roller coaster of midlife is to empower women like you to thrive in this amazing chapter of our lives. So go on, embrace the adventure, and start rocking midlife like the badass that you know you are. If you've enjoyed this episode, subscribe, leave a review, and share it with a friend, because our greatest power is in our community. And don't forget to visit my website, therollercoasterpodcast.com, and click on Start Here to get your free audio course, 3 Steps to Go from Hot Mess to Badass and Start Rocking Midlife. I'd like to thank you, all of my listeners, for choosing to join us. And Amy, thank you so much for sharing your wisdom today.
Thank you, Lucy. Thanks for having me. It was very fun.
And until next time, keep riding the roller coaster and embracing the adventure of midlife.